Trading on the Silk Road wasn't my first choice for a job. I had wanted to grow up to be one of those priests that could communicate with the gods, so I could learn about what my Tao would be, as I was a Taoist. But then my great-great-aunt, Empress Lu, had decided to put herself in power. After she finally died, all of my relatives, close and far, were executed. I was lucky to escape with my life, but even then, at a terrible price. So, letting go of all of my hopes and dreams, I was forced to become a trader, amongst other things, on the Silk Roads back between Chang'an, China, to Damascus, Syria, with small detours along the way. It wasn't ideal, but I had to make a living for myself, layman, and Julong, my little brother. Julong means powerful dragon. A funny name for a boy who shakes like a leaf, even if it's not cold, and can barely walk without his aids. My name is appropriate for me. It means quick thunder, and that's what I am. I would do anything at all, to keep me and my brother alive and well, even if it meant walking for months at a time, which I did. Every month, as soon as the cold season was over, Julong and I packed our silks, uncooked rice, and our homemade paper on a wagon powered by the horses that years of trading had gotten me. I also brought my books on Taoism so I could continue my tutoring of children on our religion. As we together traveled the Silk Road, I sat in front with all of my silks in wealthy-looking piles around me, and at an angle at which anybody could see the generous quantities of pots of rice and the materials needed to make paper, while Julong sat in the far back, making himself useful by assuring that nobody was stealing our goods and working on making paper. Anyways, we traveled along the road, selling a little less than half of our goods along the way, before stopping at Bactra, which is about 4 months of a journey from Chang'an. Every year, we took a month to refill our food and supplies and, of course, sightseeing. As well as that, we would meet Abademio, which, by the way, meant one who travels far from his country. He lives in Syria, but is a trader just like us. He was the closest thing to family that Julong and I had. We trusted him with our secret, that we were relatives of Empress Lu Bang. Little did we know that he was a firm legalist, and, just our luck, had connections with Emperor Wudi, who was more than eager to smooth over the fact that he himself was a relative of the Empress and get rid of closer relatives. So, while we were naively accepting his over-the-top generosity and deals, he was sending correspondence with the Emperor, year after year. I know it wasn't very smart of me, but could you blame me? He was our best customer by far. I was desperate for means of supporting my small but needy family, and I was barely more than a girl myself. So it continued. Our putting trust in this man and trading for more than we were worth, him with such clever deception that it makes me want to cry. Until one year, when I was 20 and Julong 13. We embarked on our journey a little later that year, because Julong's condition had temporarily worsened. For that reason, we didn't have time to make as many goods to sell as usual that year. By the time we were past the Talikmakan desert, we were nearly out of supplies. I almost turned around so we wouldn't have to embarrass ourselves in front of Abademio with way less things than normal to trade, but Julong insisted that we kept going. If only I had known what was about to occur. When we arrived at Bactra, instead of the warm welcome we normally received from our friend Abademio, he met us with a grim face and sad eyes. He asked us to come with him to his home. We obliged, of course, thinking he must have had a death in the family or something, and wanted us to come mourn. Instead, when we stepped inside his house, guards came out from both sides, grabbing Julong's and my hands. Our trusted friend stepped in front of our trapped bodies. He said, "I'm sorry, layman. It is for the good of the group. I had to turn you in." Without any preliminaries, we were whisked into the execution room. As the men gathered their tools, Julong and I said our goodbyes. I told him how much I loved him and how I would see him again in the next world. My tough facade broke down and I sobbed in his arms until they pulled him away from me. I won't go into details, but as I watched my brother die with horrifyingly clarifying detail, something inside of me changed. I became a raging lion, stronger than 1,000 guards. I kicked and punched and slashed my way out of that terrible room and ran. I ran past all the surprised citizens, even past Epidemio, straight to my wagon, where I spurred the horses till they wouldn't go any faster, and got back to China in 2 months. I don't live in China anymore. It would be too dangerous, so I moved to Bamiyan, Afghanistan, which is slightly off the Silk Road, where nobody will find me. No longer do I work as a trader. No, now I rob wagons staying for the night near me. I take from those more fortunate than me, hoping that someday, somehow, when everybody has forgotten about me, that I can get revenge on the people that hurt the ones I love.